Hello everybody, welcome back to Wednesday Fitness. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys another waffle recipe because we're on a waffle kick. Since this month, like I said, is my anniversary month, I have been just trying to make things that I know my husband likes, and I decided to make more waffles, of course. And this one was made with navy beans instead. Now I did end up kind of getting inspired from the waffles that I made with my bestie last summer, and hers had, greens in it to increase more nutrients. I decided I wanted to add in more just protein to it, so I added peanut butter to mine, and it was very rich, very thick in terms of the batter. So if you are making this, I suggest maybe watering it down just a little bit so it doesn't break your blender. But I also will say it does cook really well in the waffle iron. It was amazing, despite the fact that at first I was really worried, and you'll see what I mean here. Like as I'm cooking it, like you'll see I'm putting like 3 or 4 scoops down, and again, I'm not filling the waffle iron to the brim. I just always love, like I said, that textured look on the outside instead of a perfect circle. But hey, it's to each his own. I did make a big batch of this, and so it was still able to make about 8 servings, which was great, and I loved it. I would say the only thing I would really do differently is probably to add just a little bit more liquid so it isn't as thick. And you have to be really quick. Now I only have one waffle iron, and it cooks still pretty well, but the batter does sit, so you need to stir it up a little bit more. Aside from that, the recipe basically is fairly similar to the first one. Like the only difference that I did was I changed up the almond flour base to more of a navy bean, and I had to use a little bit of the almond flour anyways, just because I ran out of the all-purpose flour. So this recipe is definitely vegan, but it is not it is not gluten-free, and that was the only thing. I think if I didn't add in a little bit of the almond flour, it probably wouldn't have come out as thick. But like I said, I ran out of the all-purpose flour, so I ended up substituting about maybe a quarter cup for the almond flour. Now if it were me, I probably would have increased a little bit of either the milk or increased a little bit of the baking soda, but either way it still flipped up really nicely, and it had a really great texture. I think that it didn't crisp up as much as the first waffle that I had made with just the almond flour, and I think it was mainly because of the tapioca starch. Now, I'm not fully, savvy on the chemistry of it all, since baking is something new to me, and I'm better on a stove than I am like creating anything that have to go in the oven or even on a waffle skillet. But either way, this is something that I'm excited about because the more you grow and learn, the better. And so I hope that this recipe kind of gives you guys ideas that you can really throw a lot of different things in. And one thing I will say is that the recipe is very forgiving, because honestly I thought it was too thick, but still the waffles came out beautiful, and it was still fluffy and still really delicious. And even when you air fry it again for the next day and reheat it, it still has that nice texture. So it does a great job. I did freeze it, and then I reheated it in my air fryer, and it still came out beautifully. So it's something that can really hold on its own. So if you're still looking for a really great recipe that has good flavor, and of course because you're topping it with other things. Now I wasn't eating it plain, so I didn't add a lot of sweetness to it, and I found that it didn't really matter, because you would put syrup on it, or sorghum, or honey, or you're gonna mix it in with a fruit, whether you're adding like applesauce on top of it or a jam on top of this, and it still tasted amazing. So if you decide you don't really want to have anything super sweet in your waffle, you don't necessarily need it, especially if you're going to be topping it off with other fruits and everything. But as you can see here, it came out so beautifully, and I absolutely loved how it came out. And it's been really simple to figure out breakfast in the morning when obviously things are already prepped and ready, and all you have to do is just pop it into your air fryer and you've got a meal. So may you continue to be inspired, and if any of these videos have been helpful or you really have enjoyed them, please feel free to like and subscribe, and or share it with a friend to inspire them to get creative in the kitchen. And with that said, guys, may you live, thrive, and be healthy. Take care. Bye.